Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name is Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And today we're going to be talking about a summer movie preview where we go over all the summer movies, at least we know of so far. And also, we're going to, at the end of the episode, we're going to predict what the top 10 box office will be for the summer previews. Now, last week, we were supposed to be doing the Movie Crusaders chat about cult movies, but Brian and I both came time to shoot, and we're like, I really don't have a lot to talk about this, do you? And he's like, no, I really don't either. Like, do you want to skip this? He goes, I was hoping you were going to want to skip it. I was like, all right, then we're going to skip it. Because if our heart's not in the episode, we don't want to do that to you guys. And while, yes, there's plenty of cult movies to talk about and stuff like that, we would just be listing things. Yeah, we just weren't really feeling it. I mean, we could describe what cult movies were, but I feel like cult movies are so not... They mean something to different people. What a cult
very
movie
subjective.
Yeah, exactly. What a cult movie is to Brian is different than what it is to me and to this person, and so forth. And yeah, we were just going to be listing movies, and we were like, you know what? Let's just take the week off. So we're back now with our summer movie preview. Summer movie
we're much more excited about.
Yes, exactly. Until we saw the list, we're like, wow, this summer's really not that exciting. This list, as much as we thought, because we remember before COVID, you would have like 30, 40 movies.
Yeah, every week there was like 2 or 3 movies fighting it out every weekend.
Yeah, because I got to the point where I was like, I gotta go see 3 movies in one night just to review everything, which I had to do last week. But yeah, it's like this week I'm like looking at we're going through the calendar together, and I was like, Brian was like, yeah, Sean, there's not that much. I'm like, what? I was like, no, there's tons. And I was like, oh shit, there's really not that much.
Yeah, like a normal weekend, like I have AMC A-list, and I have to be like, well, I only get 3 movies in a week, so I have to decide, can I see all the movies I want to see? Now it's like, oh, I guess I can see Jurassic World 8 times in June.
I think literally I'm looking at the calendar real quick here. There's only 1 week and we're talking about May, June, and August. We're not obviously talking about September. There's only
July
1
too.
week. What's that?
You said May, June, and August. July is in there too.
Oh yeah. Thank you. There's only 1 week, and it's in July, where I see 3 movies coming out that weekend. And that is not a week where one of them is a Netflix movie, and the other one is a movie I don't care about. So even then, you're not going to use your 3 up unless you just want to go rewatch stuff.
Now, granted, some small independent stuff could pop up, things we haven't heard of, things that weren't on our radar now. But as far as the major,
luckily today, they released the Netflix summer schedule. So we had some more movies pop up on the list there that we didn't have on there before. Because we just didn't know. We knew of these movies. We just didn't know when they were going to get released. Now they know that we're going to release in summer. And then there were just other films that just popped up. We're like, I think there's one we're going to be talking about where Brian's like, I didn't even know this person was making this kind of movie. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I knew about it. I just didn't know when the hell it was coming out. So this obviously is not the locked-in schedule for the summer, because there could be a random...
Are you going to tell me they change release dates sometimes?
Absolutely. I mean, hell, within the last week, Spider-Verse got pushed back. Super Mario Brothers got pushed back. They moved up Shazam today because they don't want to go against Avatar. I guarantee you there's probably at least 3 movies in here that I think will not come out in the summer.
Oh, really?
We have not seen a trailer for them yet. And B, just because stuff happens.
I think most of summer is locked, but we'll see what happens.
I don't think it's going to be anything that we would really like care about, where it's like, man, it's not going to be like the big dogs that we're going to talk about because they are locked in on those dates. But yeah, so we're kind of just going to go through the month, I guess week to week, if there's really anything worth talking about for those. Just kind of talk about what we're excited about, what we're not excited about, what we actually might check out, what we won't check out, and kind of just go from there. And of course, the summer movies season does start next week on my birthday with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Obviously, with the events of basically the last year with WandaVision and Loki and Spider-Man No Way Home, this movie is building up to be one of the more anticipated and bigger tentpole films. Brian and I talked about this on the Weekend Crusaders. If you guys didn't check out the episode, where we were talking about Avengers Age of Ultron, where a lot of people talked up mad shit about that movie when it came out and everything like that. But I was like, and Brian and I both defended this movie because we think it's way better than a lot of people give it credit for. And we were literally saying, like, go back on this movie. This movie started this storyline, this storyline, this storyline, this story, this movie is so important that no one's paying attention to how important this movie is and how it made the whole spider web of the next 8 years or whatever of movies. And Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness looks to be that next film where it's going to just spiderweb all these different facets, or at least we think it is. You and I are trying to avoid every single TV commercial and trailer. Like
I think it's actually going to wrap up some major things. Like, I personally don't think the multiverse is going to be an ongoing thing very much. I think it's going to mostly wrap it up. But the events of this are going to set in motion several other possibly franchises, or at least storylines with certain characters. Yeah.
I mean, you got What If as well. That's another show that we thought that was not really going to come into things. That's 100% going to be brought up into this film. There's so much in this movie. And when you heard about the runtime too, I was like, are they going to be able to fit everything that they're promising in this movie? But yeah, we have been avoiding trying to see anything footage wise, like we did with Spider-Man. It's hard, but we only got to wait like another week.
Well, yeah. Well, the very first screenings of it, I think, happened on Saturday or Sunday.
I think some people got to see it already yesterday.
They showed the first 20 minutes of it at cinema.
Oh, okay.
The first 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think, from what I heard, there was not any major spoilers in that section of it. Just kind of setting up the movie. But the first full screens, I believe, are this weekend, which is basically 4 to 5 days before it comes out. So it's like I got to go on like internet lockdown. I'm not going to go to most social media, things like this, because even on some random thread, somebody will post something just to spoil it for other people. But yeah, this is,
for the most part, Spider-Man did a pretty good job of trying to keep people from doing that shit. I mean, you obviously you knew Toby and Andrew were going to show up in it. But I mean, for the most part, I relatively went into No Way Home without any real spoilers or anything of that sort. So I mean, they did a good job with that. So I'm hoping Doctor Strange is going to be in that same boat, because this is a movie that is going to probably need rewatches, because there's just going to be so much hidden shit in it.
Yeah, it's one of my most anticipated of the year. If you like to watch the anticipated show. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be epic. I think it's going to have lots of cool stuff. Obviously it's going to have some appearances and cameos. Although I will say that I think a lot of people are way overestimating what they're going to see in this movie. This is just like Spider-Man, where like people are throwing out like every possible name in Marvel Universe could show up in this, and in 5 different versions of them. And it's like, lower your expectations, people.
I'm just excited to see Chiwetel Ejiofor back.
Right.
I just want him back to be the villain, because it's like you teased it at the end of Doctor Strange. I want my Chiwetel Ejiofor, and it looks like
I love where it appears they're going with Wanda and the whole kind of her storyline that's kind of been touched on in the comics. Again, we don't know how much of it they are and aren't using, but I'm really curious to see where that goes too. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with Wanda, especially after the events of WandaVision. It was such a powerful story that they told, and I'm glad they're continuing it. I'm trying everything I can not to see anything with Wanda, because I don't want it to lead me down she's going to do this. And it's like, no, I want to be in the moment as it happens. Now, the following week, I think the only thing that comes out is a Netflix film called Operation Mincemeat. So Doctor Strange is clearly going to be the only movie for the next.
There is Firestarter.
Firestarter I got for the 13th. Oh, wait. Right. I got the 11th for Operation Mincemeat. They're dropping that on a Wednesday. My bad.
Okay.
So there's 3 movies that week coming out. You got Operation Mincemeat on Netflix. Mm-hmm. You got Senior Year, Rebel Wilson's high school comedy on Netflix. And then you got Firestarter. I misread the dates on here.
Which I have low expectations for Firestarter. I think it'll be worth watching. I mean, I like Zac Efron. I like Stephen King's stories for the most part. The trailers didn't really do anything for me, but I'll still check it out.
I feel like the trailer, I was like, I've seen this trailer for a TV show called The Gifted, which was like Mark Paul Gosselaar's X-Men kind of film. Or no, it wasn't. There's multiple.
It was connected to the X-Men universe, yeah.
There was multiple. I don't think Gosselaar was in that one. There was another show. There's multiple shows that same year. There was like
I forget who was in it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was the guy from True Blood. I'm blanking on his name. But yeah, I haven't been blown away by the trailer for it. I want Efron to do something so good. I really do. I want Efron. I mean, he did the Ted Bundy thing, but I mean, I want Efron to finally kind of break through, kind of like Channing Tatum, break through and become this top tier star. This is not that movie for him.
No.
But I want it. And sadly, I never really watched the first Firestarter with Drew Barrymore. So that and Operation Mincemeat, cast wise, it looks interesting. The story itself doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Right. Senior year, I watched the trailer for it today. I am not a Rebel Wilson fan at all, but I didn't hate the trailer. But it's one of the things where it's like, for the comedy for Netflix, if I didn't hate the trailer, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good. It just means that I can maybe stomach getting through the movie.
It's like it's one of those movies, if I'm bored enough or if I hear good things about it, I'll watch it. But it's like, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it.
It was like earlier this year when Home Team came out on Netflix. I was like, yeah, it's a Happy Madison movie. I didn't hate the trailer. And I ended up watching. I was like, dude, it's not good, but it definitely was nowhere near as bad as it could have been. And I feel like senior year is going to kind of be on the same boat. There's a lot of people in that cast that I'm like, I like that person. I but I just don't really want to watch Rebel Wilson try to be a high school or an older woman being a high school kid for an hour and a half. Actually, let's put it this way: it's a Rebel Wilson movie. It's probably gonna go 2 hours long because they feel like they got to have all the comedy in it. But following week, I
will say this: I'm curious to see how Rebel Wilson is going to adjust her comedy style, because she always did kind of do the Chris Farley kind of brand of like, oh, fatty fall down comedy, which but she embraced it. It wasn't like people making fun of her. She was
literally was okay with her character being called Fat Amy in the Pitch Perfect
series. Right. So I mean, I'm curious to see when that's not the gimmick she can lean on. If where her comedy styles go, maybe she's good. We'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe taking the fat element out of her comedy, we'll actually really get to see. Oh, she actually is really funny.
Maybe
this is gonna be the kind of the stepping stone to find out about that.
Yeah.
Going to the 20th, no movie in theaters that week that I could see, but Disney Plus has Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and I am there are 2 movies coming out in theaters that week?
Go ahead with Chippendale.
Okay, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, I am so excited for. I loved Chippendale Rescue Rangers when I was a kid. I can hear the theme song playing in my head right now, but I love that they got Andy Samberg and is it Mulaney? John Mulaney, right? Yeah, John Mulaney playing Chippendale. And I like the kind of meta-ness that they're doing with the story. They're not trying to just go back and rehash the old cartoon series. They're kind of treating them like they're stars, and they're getting kind of thrown back into the mix. I actually did like what I saw in the trailer for it. This is also one of those movies where I'm like, Disney, why are you not releasing this in theaters? You could make some solid money out of this. Kids will go see this, and my age will go see this movie like Sonic, because this is our childhood, and you're dropping it on Disney Plus. Either A, you don't think it's not going to be that good of a film, which worries me, or you really just want to drop something, which is a week before Obi-Wan comes out. You really just want to drop something on Disney Plus. I feel like this is going to be a missed opportunity for some money for them.
I feel like I think they have they need to drop a certain amount of content movie-wise, in addition to series, onto Disney Plus, which is why they, chose some things like this. I think you're right. I think this could make some money in theaters. I don't think it would in the summer. If they dropped this like Sonic did, in like the March area or something that.
But you got to think about it in terms of May right now. All you really have is Doctor Strange, which at this point it'll be in its 3rd week, and Firestarter, which is going to be rated R. You need
but maybe at the time they schedule it, the time they decided to go Disney Plus, that we don't remember what the schedule looked like then and what it looks like now, and so at this point it's too late to be like, let's put it in theaters instead.
I mean, they could have done it. We're going to do both, and you can do the premiere thing,
or maybe it's not good. Who knows?
I'm hoping it's going to be good.
I hope it's great.
You're saying there's 2 other movies come out, because I only had Chippendale.
There are 2 theatrical movies that nothing I'm excited about. One is called Men. It looks like some kind of a thriller. It's by Alex Garland, who directed Ex Machina and Annihilation. And then there's Downton Abbey, A New Era, which again, I am not the target audience for that. It has a huge following, so it'll make some money.
I have never seen a single second of frame of Downton Abbey, so
I've seen about 5 minutes of it. And it's one of those things, like, I'm sure it's great. It's just not for me.
Yeah. And Men, I love Alex Garland. I think Annihilation was one of the best films of the year when it came out. And Ex Machina, I don't think it's as good as everybody else thinks it is. I still think
I agree.
It's solid film. But I watched the trailer for Men, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not interested in this. This is probably why I didn't write them down, because I was like, But yeah, so for me, I'm thinking we got what, 4 weekends then of Doctor Strange in the number 1 spot, because I don't think anything's going to knock Doctor Strange off that top tier.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. I mean, we'll get to it, but Doctor Strange basically has 3 extra weekends of essentially no competition.
Yeah,
and that's still Top Gun, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. And then it's got, if you don't consider Top Gun major competition, it's got another 2 weeks after that before Jurassic hits. So
yeah, it's
gonna make money for a month and a half easy.
Marvel's gonna own the box office from May to at least second week of June.
Yeah.
Now, end of May, you've got at least in my eyes, I've got 2 movies coming out. We've got Top Gun Maverick, which I think will take the number 1 spot away from Doctor Strange at the end of the month, and then Bob's Burgers, the movie. Now, a lot of people are excited about Bob's Burgers. I tried watching that show, which is weird because I love Archer. I love Archer so much. Now, granted, I kind of didn't watch the last 2 seasons of it because I kind of got Archered out, but I could not get into Bob's Burgers for the life of me. I never found it funny. I never really got the humor of it. So for me, I have no interest in seeing the Bob's Burgers movie. But Top Gun Maverick, though, I think general excitement level for us was kind of like, all right, we'll see what it is. Then we saw the cast. We still think that Glenn Powell should have been should have been Goose's kid instead of Miles Teller. Nothing against Miles Teller, but Glenn Powell really needs the boost, not Miles.
I think it's called Rooster, isn't he?
I think he's Rooster. I meant Goose's kid is what I was trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Top Gun Maverick. The more and more I keep seeing of it, the more I'm actually kind of getting excited for it. Whereas, that movie was supposed to come out like what, 3 years ago? It was 3 years ago?
You're supposed to come out in 2019, I think.
Yeah, 3 years ago. I didn't care about it at all for the first 3 years, but now that it's actually coming out, I'm like, okay, now I'm actually getting excited. Watch them push this back. Yeah, we're gonna wait another year.
No, at this point it's coming. It's screening today or tomorrow at CinemaCon, so it's coming out this time.
I was like, just because it's Tom Cruise, they're gonna push it back. Your thoughts on Bob's Burgers and Top Gun?
So Bob's Burgers is a show I've never watched. I think I've watched 5 minutes here or there once or twice, and I just didn't think it was entertaining. I've seen 2 different trailers for it now, neither of which has changed my mind at all. So I doubt I will even see this movie unless someone tells me it's the most hilarious thing of the summer and I have to watch it.
That's the thing too, though. Even if it's hilarious, it's like, do I need to see the show?
Right. Yeah.
It's funny, or is it for people that don't watch the show can just jump right in?
Yeah. And then Top Gun Maverick is one that I've been kind of cautiously optimistic about. I'm one of those people who's like, this obviously isn't needed. At the same time, though, it feels like at least there is a story to follow here. It's not just like, let's make a sequel 40 almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
But at least there's actually a storyline you can pick up with Goose's son and his conflict with Maverick and all that stuff. So it's got a purpose. It's got a great cast. I mean, besides Miles Teller and Glenn Powell, also Jennifer Connelly and a bunch of other people in there who I really like.
John Hamm.
By the way, Miles Teller, his character is named Brewster. Glenn Powell is Hangman. Just backtrack there. The trailers have looked decent to me. The movie still isn't blowing me like, oh my gosh, I must see this movie. But I think it's gonna look great. I think it's gonna have some great aerial combat footage, things like that.
We haven't really had a good dogfight movie in a long time.
Yeah. Joseph Kosinski, who did Tron Legacy and Oblivion, he's got a great eye. I think his movies look great, even if the plots aren't perfect. So I mean, I'm gonna see this movie. I don't think it's going to be a huge success because I think there's a limit to how far nostalgia can carry movies, as we've seen recently, which I'll get into later in the box office part. But I'm excited to see it though.
No, I think it's going to win the box office that weekend because it will.
Oh, that weekend, yeah.
That weekend definitely, because Doctor Strange has been out at that point for 4 weekends, or no, that'll be its 5th weekend. And then I think it'll be number 1 the following week because I don't think we have any theatrical releases really in the first week of June. Because all I've got for the first week of June on the 8th is Hustle, which is a Netflix film.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm just checking myself now. There's a movie called Watcher, but it's a small independent horror film with Micah Monroe. So
yeah, like I said, the only thing is Hustle. Looks more like a serious Adam Sandler film where he helps a aspiring NBA player find his potential. Which, hey, that's one thing that Adam Sandler is actually sneaky good at is basketball. And if he's kind of basically doing his own version of almost like He Got Game, except for the father-son dynamic and stuff like that. I'm actually kind of all for this because here's the thing: you and I, we shit on Adam Sandler a ton on the show.
We do.
Old Adam Sandler, we loved. Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, all that. We liked him then. It's when he went to Netflix where it's like, dude, go fuck yourself. Like, your movies are shit and garbage. And I think Uncut Gems is an overrated migraine of a film. But this movie, I am actually excited for. I actually really want to see this film. I actually want to see a serious Adam Sandler. I think Adam Sandler, part of me is just like, the dude needs to learn to grow up. Because he has acting potential. He does. He's actually a good actor.
I think he's the kind of guy who has potential and he has talent, and we've seen flashes of that in certain movies here and there. But I think that he knows that the paychecks are in the kind of Adam Sandler, which I was not a fan of even like the Billy Madison type Adam Sandler. I mean, there's certain movies that
he's the right age for
better than others. But I mean, he can be funny. I mean, I still think he's funniest when he's not the lead character. When he's in things like Airheads, when he's in things like Shakes the Clown, which most people haven't seen. I think he's funniest when he's in a supporting role. But I do think that obviously his Netflix stuff got even worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, even Uncut Gems. Okay, Uncut Gems was a migraine-inducing movie.
I don't blame him.
But he showed that he could act a dramatic role, and he did it fine. He did his role fine. And this one, as soon as I saw Adam Sandler, it obviously didn't even make my list of anticipated. But it does look like it could be, like you said, a more serious thing. And I hope it's good. And if here it is, I'll check it out.
I hope it's good. I want it to be good because, like I said, I don't blame him for Uncut Gems. I blame the what are the brothers' names? The directors.
That wasn't the Spielberg brothers, was it?
No, they did High Time and.
Oh, I forget that. Okay.
I forgot, but it's the way they shoot their films. It's the way they do.
Safdie? Is that it?
Yes, them.
Yeah.
What's that? The Safdie brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't like the way they shoot their films. I know a lot of people do. I am not a fan of them, and I don't blame Sandler for that. The movie itself is just a migraine-inducing nightmare. So we go to June 10th, which is
nothing that week.
No, nothing that week. We can move on to that. This is probably one of our most anticipated films of the year. For anyone who doesn't know me, I don't like Jurassic Park. No, I'm playing. Jurassic World Domination comes out.
Dominion.
You Dominion. I always say Domination. It's not
You're the only person I've heard all kinds of YouTube
Dominion.
channels talk about
it's so Dominion, just like the Washington Commanders. I always say Commodores. And it's like, no, it's not Commodores. It's Commanders. Jurassic World Dominion. I almost said it again. Comes out. Y'all know how I feel about Jurassic Park. It's my most favorite film of all time. We'll talk and love everything about it. I thought Lost World was really good as well. Hated Jurassic Park 3. I thought Jurassic World was a step in the right direction and a lot of fun. And y'all know how much I fucking hated Fallen Kingdom. This one, though, the trailers, unlike Fallen Kingdom, where I knew, and I told Brian this when we were talking about it way back when, I knew going into Fallen Kingdom, this is going to be bad. This could be really bad. So I went in going, oh, fuck. And it was. Well, scratch that. The first half was fine. The second half is some of the worst I've ever seen. But this trailer that they're releasing, I'm so excited for this. And you got the original cast coming back. And they're actually in the movie a lot in this. It's not like Jeff Goldblum in Fallen Kingdom where you teased him and he was only in for like 2 minutes, and it's basically all of his lines were in the trailer. I want this movie to do so well. I want this movie to give me that Jurassic. I don't think it's ever gonna be able to give me that Jurassic Park feel, because Jurassic Park is a 1 in a million movie. Mm-hmm. But if it could give me just somewhere close to like the first Jurassic World when I saw it for the first time, or even Lost World, I will consider this a success, because there's no way it's going to touch Jurassic Park. But I'm super excited. I'm super hopeful, and God, please don't disappoint me. What are your thoughts on Dominion?
So Jurassic World, in my opinion, is almost on par with Jurassic Park. It's a very controversial opinion, but I really think Jurassic World is a really good movie. So I've gone to this, and then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. it's not obviously as good as that, but I have never had as nearly as big a problem as most people have with that movie. Do I wish they had gone a different direction with the story? Yes, but I liked a lot of the characters in it. I kind of liked where the movie ended up, which kind of sets up this movie. And this one I think could be very exciting. And not only the fact that it's a continuation of the story, but the fact that it is the culmination essentially not just of this trilogy, but of the whole 6-movie series. And you're bringing back the 3 major people from the original cast, not just in like little cameos, but in like major role, like as big as Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard in this movie. And so I'm more excited about this one than I have been in a long time. The trailers so far have looked good. And I just think this is going to be one of the biggest investment movies of the summer.
I hope. Let's put it this way. I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle it if this movie sucks. I don't know. We're gonna literally. I'm gonna say this right now. If this movie sucks, and you and I have to do a spoiler review for this, I might have to get drunk for that episode just to make sure I get through it, because that's the only way I feel like I could get through it without losing my effing mind, like Goro and Mortal Kombat mind.
See, I think even if it's not everything you wanted it to be, even if you're disappointed, I don't think there's any chance of this sucking.
I so badly. I just. I don't know if my heart could take this movie sucking. I don't think it's gonna hit my expectation level, because I always put Jurassic Park, Jurassic World in such a high pedestal because I love it so much, just like you do with Indiana Jones. But
so that worked out.
Yeah, exactly. See, I don't want a Crystal Skull situation.
If Indiana Jones 5 sucks, I'll be drunk for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever the hell that comes out.
It's not a real movie. Who can?
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to back us up 1 week. We missed on the 3rd. Netflix does have a movie called Interceptor, which is an action movie starring Elsa Pataki. She's Chris Hemsworth's wife. She was in some of the Fast and Furious movies. So that one looks intriguing. So
I saw
Luke
that, and I looked at her and I was like, "Isn't that Hemsworth's wife?" But I didn't see her name on the cast. I thought her name was something else.
No, that's
so I was just like, maybe they just put the wrong picture there. I know that's Hemsworth's wife, but I could have sworn her name was something different.
What if in his Extraction and Spiderhead contracts, like, you have to give my wife a movie?
I like
she's good on her own, though. She is good.
Her in the Fast and Furious movies.
I like her. Yeah,
she was one character when they killed her off. Spoilers. I was like, you could have done so much more with her, but you couldn't because Michelle Rodriguez was back, and you can't have the two.
I'd rather kill off Michelle Rodriguez. I'd rather kill off Vin Diesel, honestly.
I mean, touche. Moving on to our next week, we got the 17th of June. We've got one big streaming film, and we got another huge film in theaters. We got Lightyear, Disney's Lightyear. Then we got Netflix's Spiderhead. Let's talk about Spiderhead first. We haven't gotten a trailer for it yet. We got to see a little bit of it in that kind of like sizzle reel at the beginning of the year. But the cast-wise of this movie, this should be something that is a pretty damn good film. I don't see it being another Red Notice situation where it's like you have 3 fantastic actors, but the movie itself is just kind of bleh. I think Spiderhead is probably not going to disappoint. If it's even remotely as good as Extraction, but with that cast adding to it, I think Spiderhead's going to be pretty successful. What do you think?
Yeah, well, this is one that's been anticipated for a couple of years now because it got delayed.
Yeah.
But it was originally called Escape from Spiderhead. So I mean, yeah, you have Chris Hemsworth, you have Miles Teller, you have Journey Smollett, who you might know from Birds of Prey, for instance.
Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, and so I mean, this is one that I think is going to be pretty good. Also directed by Joseph Kosinski, so he's got basically 2 movies coming out within like weeks of each other this summer. All the ones on Netflix. I'm gonna
pause real quick. I totally just said the wrong person. You're talking about Black Canary.
Yeah,
you're talking about Black Canary. I was thinking of Justice from the guy from Pikachu and all that shit. So before anyone goes, that's not the same.
Oh, I thought you meant pause, like you're gonna edit that out. Okay.
Nope. I'm just saying. Let me get that in.
I just let it go. I was just gonna move on.
I know you were, but I was in my head. I was gonna just keep beating on my brain, so I had to get it out there. So continue.
So yeah, this is one most people haven't heard of. I'll just read the 2-sentence synopsis. In the near future, convicts are offered the chance to volunteer as medical subjects to shorten their sentence. One subject for a new drug capable of generating feelings of love begins questioning the reality of his emotions. So it seems kind of a sci-fi, maybe action kind of thing. I don't know anything about this. Like you said, there's no trailer yet. Netflix tends to release their trailers for the next month's stuff like a week before a month ends. Like late May, we'll see a trailer for this probably, since this comes out in June.
Because it's the 17th, I'm expecting us to get a trailer probably next week or in
It's possible for some of these bigger summer ones, like they did with Red Notice, they released one earlier, but for the most part, they released their next month's stuff pretty close to the month. But yeah, Spiderhead looks intriguing to me.
Yeah, I think the only thing I remember from it is the picture of them on the boat.
Yeah, that's the only picture I can find.
The only thing you can find is them on the boat. And I was like, all right, cool. So then you got Lightyear. Obviously, everyone knows how much I love the Toy Story franchise. Brian is fine with the Toy Story franchise, doesn't love it as much as I do. But this one is all about the story that Buzz Lightyear is based on. So it's basically an actual Buzz Lightyear movie. Got Chris Evans to voice Lightyear. This is one of those movies where it's like, on paper, this should be great. On paper, this should work. On paper, this should be a top tier hit for Disney. But you got to wonder, well, yeah, we love Buzz Lightyear because it's Toy Story with Woody and all them. This is a Buzz Lightyear story. How much do people really, really care about a Buzz Lightyear story? And yes, you got Chris Evans voicing Buzz Lightyear, but you also got to think, well, everyone hears Tim Allen when you think of Buzz Lightyear, which is the toy version, not the real version of the story. I'm optimistic about this. I really am. I'm expecting to enjoy the film. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I like that they're trying something new, but I also felt like they probably should have waited to do this for at least a couple years, since Toy Story 4 was only like 2 years ago. I would have liked to have waited a little longer before we did another Toy Story kind of thing, even though it's technically not, but it's, you know what I mean. What are your thoughts on Lightyear?
I have personally no anticipation for Lightyear. It seems like to me like a movie that's like, it feels to me like a cash. And now it's not. Pixar is usually pretty good about making movies worth making. Toy Story 4, I felt was unnecessary. A lot of people liked it. Great. This, you know what it is? Of all the movies that Pixar has not put in theaters, this seems like the one that should have gone to streaming, honestly, when you think about it.
No, this is they're trying to make this one epic in scale.
But from what I've heard, again, just as we're recording this, CinemaCon is going on, and they showed, I guess, the first half hour of this movie. Yeah, people were talking about how it looks great. They project on a big IMAX screen that looks beautiful. They're talking about how the cat, I think Socks is the name, is like the star of the movie. And they're saying people were like bawling their eyes out in this first half hour, like multiple times. So I don't know where the story is going that causes that. So it's a movie that I'm sure it's going to be good. I'll see it, and I'm sure it'll be at least worth watching. But for me, just I don't have that anticipation for it at all. I'm just like, okay.
I feel like this could either be an epic like disappointment because it doesn't kill at the box office, or it's going to do exactly what it should do, which is Toy Story money. There's no middle in this movie. It either is a failure or it's a smashing success when it comes to Pixar and the Toy Story stuff in general. So we'll see which way it lands. Honestly, because of Buzz being the central focus, I think it's probably going to lean more towards success. But
I think even if it doesn't make Toy Story numbers, I do not think it's going to flop. I don't think there's a chance it's going to be.
I don't think the movie's going to be bad. I think it's just it's going to be like, it was fine. Or it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be like, man, that movie sucked, kind of thing. Going to the 24th, we have two movies. One that I'm super excited for. One Brian was super excited for until he saw the trailer for it. We've got, are they just calling it Elvis, or did they actually come up with Elvis? Yeah. Okay, so it's just called Elvis. So we got the Elvis biopic kind of film, and then we've got the horror film, or more like horror thriller film that should have came out back in January or February, The Black Phone. Let's start with Elvis. Brian, you had been talking about the stupid Elvis movie since last year. You were like Baz Luhrmann, right?
Baz Luhrmann, yeah.
Yeah, Moulin Rouge, all that stuff. You were like, I can't wait to see this. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And then you saw the trailer. You're like, yeah, I'm not excited for this movie anymore.
Well, it's not that I'm not like completely unexcited for it. It's not like, I don't want to watch the movie now, but this is a movie I was looking forward to based purely upon Baz Luhrmann, because I love his like Romeo and Juliet. I like Moulin Rouge. his movies since then, he's done like, Australia and Great Gatsby and things like that, which have not been great, but I was kind of hoping to get back to kind of his original style. And Elvis is just somebody I honestly don't care that much about the biopic. So I was just waiting, hoping the trailer would blow me away. And it didn't. It looked fine. I think that Tom Hanks comes across a little caricature-ish. So I mean, what little we saw in the trailer. But again, I hate to keep saying this, but again, this just showed a bunch of new footage at CinemaCon this week, and people are raving about how great it looks. And the kid who plays Austin Butler, kid who plays Elvis, he does a great job. He does all his own singing in the movie. I guess when they get to older Elvis, like they actually use Elvis's singing, but when they're doing young Elvis, he's doing it all himself. So I mean, it sounds like it's probably going to be very good, and I'm definitely going to check it out opening weekend. It's just not, living up as one of my most anticipated of the year. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing about this Elvis movie, I think, since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, because it was one of those things where I think Brian was like, that guy, he's gonna be playing Elvis. I'm like, I know. Like, every time Brian's always like, Elvis movie, and then after that first trailer came out, I immediately texted you. I was like, Brian, Elvis movie trailer. He goes, yeah, I saw it. I'm not that anticipated for this anymore. I'm just like
eh.
Brian is the king of watching a trailer and then automatically just going negative with it. Like, I don't know how many times there'll be a trailer come out and go, Brian, you see the trailer? Go, yeah, I did. I'm not really that excited for it anymore now. Or, yeah, I wasn't that impressed with it. I was like, damn it. But I watched it, and like I'm kind of like there with you. I'm not a huge Elvis fan. Now, there's some songs of his that are, fun and stuff like that. To me, you know what my Elvis is? 3,000 Miles of Graceland. That's my Elvis. I love that movie. I know it's just a bunch of people pretending to be Elvis and doing bank robberies and stuff like that, but that's, to me, my kind of Elvis kind of stuff.
I'll take True Romance Elvis.
Or True Romance Elvis. But yeah, I don't necessarily care about the biopic, but you know what? You don't need to care if
that's one of those things. I remember in my review for Straight Outta Compton, I said the sign of a good biopic is when they make you care about the story of a person who you really don't care about in real life. Like, I'm not a big fan of oh my gosh, NWA.
I was like, I didn't know where you were going with it.
But I'm not a fan of them. I'm familiar with them, but I don't need to know their story. But I watched that movie, and the movie like had me really involved in it, and that's the sign of a good biopic. So hopefully that's what it'll do with Elvis too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was in the same boat. I didn't really care about NWA, but Straight Outta Compton was great. And then kind of go comedy side of it, we all treated Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, as a spoof movie to Walk the Line, but that's
a better movie in my opinion.
That story does a great job of making Dewey Cox a fleshed out character that you believe Dewey Cox was a real character.
Right.
So while we don't care about Elvis, as long as the story and the performance and stuff do its job and make us give a shit about Elvis throughout this film, then you have a chance of making this a really good film. I agree. Tom Hanks is I got very almost like Lady Killer vibes.
Yeah, right.
With this,
you know, I watch Lady Killer
for Fast Like Colonel Sanders kind of thing, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing in this?" But you know what? I'll hold off until I see the movie. Because Tom Hanks, outside of like Lady Killers, doesn't really disappoint.
One of those guys you'll always give the benefit of the doubt. Yeah,
exactly. You always give Tom Hanks the benefit of the doubt. The other film, Black Phone, I and Brian can attest to this. I have been obsessed with this movie since I saw the trailer. I have been wanting to see this movie so damn bad because, and granted, it's a little delayed. It's a little late now. I'm excited to see Ethan Hawke's performance in this movie. Now, granted, now he's already doing a villain thing with Moon Knight, so it's kind of like, oh, well, the whole stigma that I really want to see it for is kind of gone now. But if you haven't seen the trailer for the Black Phone, check it out. I so badly want to see this performance from Ethan Hawke, and for me, that also kind of bodes well that they took a movie that was supposed to be released in January, February, which for us, we've talked about this. That's usually kind of the movies you don't believe in month. And they said, no, we're dropping this in June, in the middle of the summer movie month. So to take it from a spot that's not a very favorable spot and drop it right there in the middle of the summer, I'm hoping that means that they watch and go, this is actually way better than we thought it was going to be, and it's going to actually do really, really well. I hope it's that case because it does have that supernatural element. I'm not saying we're going to get to like It Chapter 1-esque kind of levels here, but with the way the character performance, at least how it looks in the trailers for Ethan Hawke, and this supernatural storyline element with kids and stuff like that, I am super excited for this film. I know you're not as excited or maybe even remotely excited for this film, but your thoughts on Black Phone?
Black Phone is one of that kind of new breed of horror films that I just don't get excited about. The Conjuring movies, the Sinister movies, the Insidious movies, the all these kind of things, and then with the elevated horror movies they come out with these days, it just feels like it's like not the kind of horror that really appeals to me. Ethan Hawke is a big plus. I mean, the trailer looked at least intriguing. It's a movie I'm definitely going to check out, but it's one that I'm just kind of like I'm reserving judgment on it.
I personally don't care about the supernatural element of that film. I just wanted the story that we got before the supernatural element was you have this guy who wears a creepy mask, who kidnaps kids. This is the kid we're following in the story and him trying to escape. I was totally cool with that story. I was jazzed for that story. They added the supernatural element to it, and I'm like, okay. But once again, how they write it could make or break this film.
Yep.
I'm really excited to see how this movie turns out. I really hope that it actually does really well. Closing out the month of June, we have I'm assuming this is a rom-com based off of the plot and the cast. We got Shotgun Wedding, which has got Jennifer Lopez and I guess now Josh Duhamel. You said there was a few people that were supposed to be in this role.
It finally ended up with Josh Duhamel. Yeah, it was originally when they were first planning the movie, it was Ryan Reynolds. Then they actually cast Armie Hammer, but of course Armie Hammer went through all his thing, and so they decided to avoid controversy and they ditched him. And so it actually got made with Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys know what a Shotgun Wedding is, I'm guaranteeing that's basically the main plot of this movie. I do think that going from Ryan Reynolds down to Josh Duhamel, nothing against Josh Duhamel, I like him, but going from a Ryan Reynolds to Josh Duhamel definitely does drop the caliber of this film down quite a bit. But we don't really have any romantic rom-coms or anything coming out in the summer, really. So
I'm not sure this is coming out.
You don't think it's coming out?
No, because I was looking at IMDb, didn't have it listed, which is why when you mentioned it, I was like double checking.
IMDb did have it listed. That's why I put it on the sheet.
Well, on different section of IMDb, it does not. And then when you look it up, it says that in March, it was Amazon Studios acquired the rights from Lionsgate for the film to be released on Prime Video. It was originally scheduled to be released theatrically on June 29th. So it looks like it might end up on Prime. It could still come out this summer, but it looks like if it does, it's going to Amazon Prime.
Okay. Well, that also kind of
either way, it's still probably coming out this summer, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, or it's gonna be like a oh god, was it My Spy? Not My, was it My Spy? Where like Prime bought it, then like they wouldn't release it for like ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was My Spy, right, with Batista.
Yeah, because it was a while before that came out.
Yeah, because like they bought, like it was supposed to come out, and they got pushed back, and then they bought it, and then it was like another 6 months later, and it's like by the time it came out, I was like, no one really gave a crap because it was right. They dropped it right during COVID, and I was like, no one really cares anymore. but yeah, that's the end of June. Frankly, I mean, your highlights you got, or for at least box office wise, you got Jurassic World and Lightyear. That's basically it.
That's pretty much it.
Going to July 1st, probably gonna be the big box office of the year. We don't give a rat's ass about this film, but these movies keep getting made and they keep making billions of dollars, and that's Minions: The Rise of Gru. I don't give a rat's ass about these movies. I've never liked Despicable Me. I've never thought the Minions were funny. Making their own movies and now making Gru younger. Clearly, this is aimed at kids, so we're definitely not the age group for this.
Well, this is another one that was supposed to come out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Despicable Me movies, like going to the first one, I was like completely uninterested. I actually do enjoy them to some level. Like when because my kids were young at the time they first started coming out. And so I saw them all, and like they're actually kind of cute. They're kind of fun. I don't mind them at all. It's one of those movies also that have like things that can be enjoyed by adults and things enjoyed by kids. It's not completely infantile. The Minions movie didn't need to exist because it's like the Minions I thought kind of the most childish part of the original Despicable Me movies. Yeah. But again, it was fine. I didn't hate watching it, but it wasn't anything I loved. This one, I feel like it's going to be kind of the same thing. It's like, I'm sure I'll watch it. I think it'll probably have some amusing parts to it. But on the other hand, I think that it is still going to make a shitload of money because the franchise did, and kids love it. And
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, no interest in these movies whatsoever. They just give me a headache. Going to July 8th, we've got a big film, and then we've got a Netflix film that is, I would say, kind of close to like a How to Train Your Dragon-esque kind of film with the Sea Beast. I saw the trailer for it today when they released the summer schedule. I like the voice cast. I mean, animation-wise, it's okay. But as I was watching, I was like, this is kind of like a sea creatures, How to Train Your Dragon-esque kind of film. I'm not against checking this movie out when it comes out on Netflix. I don't think it's. I think if it was going to be as big as it was, they probably would have dropped it in theaters. But did you ever watch the trailer for it or no?
I didn't watch the trailer for it. I wanted to check because I thought I remember seeing like, is it Guillermo del Toro or somebody's behind it? No, I'm thinking of something different.
No, I don't think he'd do animation.
No, I'm thinking of something different. Just ignore me completely.
No, if he did, this would be a horror film. But Carl Urban is the main voice. Maybe you saw Carl Urban in your brain.
Well, it's directed by the same guy who co-directed Moana, Big Hero 6, and Bolt. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's got a decent voice cast. I haven't seen I haven't watched the trailer myself, but it's one of those movies that's like, I don't know, the Netflix animated stuff has not really been a hit to me. It seems like most of the stuff they put out on Netflix is on straight to Netflix for a reason, but who knows? Like I said, I like the cast.
Yeah, the cast is what sells me. And I watched the trailer and I was like, yeah, I mean, you got some cool looking creatures and it has potential. But the real movie is Thor, Love and Thunder. They finally dropped a trailer, or it's not even a trailer, it's a teaser. They finally dropped a teaser, was it last week, for it. Everyone, at least that knows me, knows that I wasn't the biggest fan of Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was fine. I don't think it's one of the best MCU movies ever, like a lot of people think. But I am more open now to Taika Waititi's direction of Thor than I was in Ragnarok. I think there's a lot of story elements in Ragnarok that should have hit harder or should have been more dramatic, and they ruined it with stupid jokes. This one, I'm fully ready to embrace the comedic aspects of it, but we were talking about one certain aspect of this film and how we're like, how's Taika going to tackle this and not make it a joke? And that is Jane. I blanked out her name for a second. Jane Foster's storyline. We're not going to explain what the storyline is here for people who don't know it. We kind of want that to be unveiled to people as they're watching it. But that storyline's is a lot darker than it is. And they already come out and said that was going to be the storyline they're going with. And we're hoping, you and I both said this, we know Taika can do serious shit. He did Jojo Rabbit, and there are some moments in that film that
there's plenty of comedy in that movie, but he handles the drama well as well. So
yeah, there's certain moments where that movie made me cry, and he did not do that in Ragnarok. Ragnarok, he to me ruined every one of those moments with a stupid joke like Carl Urban with a shake weight and shit, or Korg. But this movie, I'm excited to kind of see what they do with it. I think you said you weren't that excited with the trailer. Once again, Brian, not happy with trailer.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. Now, when I first saw it, I did think that it was like, man, they went way overboard with the comedy, and especially with the Korg and a lot of these things. I'm like, they just leaned too far into the comedy. Now, if you look at this first teaser, it looks like they're leaning pretty hard into the comedy again. So I think it's going to have some of the same flaws that Ragnarok did, but I think in the end I'm going to end up loving it like I did with Ragnarok. The Jane Foster storyline, with her becoming Lady Thor, Mighty Thor, whatever you want to call her, that's in the trailers. That I am very excited to see that, if nothing else, just for the return of Natalie Portman. But again, it's a matter of how they balance and handle that storyline, which will decide. And of course, Christian Bale in there, which something if it was something to lure him back into comic books after he swore them off after Batman, there's got to be something to it, and I'm super looking forward to it. It's still one of my most anticipated of the year.
Absolutely, and I want to see Russell Crowe as Thor or as Zeus. Yeah. In the film. There's a lot to be excited. Plus, the Guardians are in it. Granted, they might only be in it for 20 minutes or so, but I will take a Guardians cameo any chance I can get. So Thor, definitely something that we're both excited about. I'm gonna tread lightly because of Taika. I love Taika. I do. Thor Ragnarok is one of those I will die on that hill. That is, you and I will die on the Age of Ultron is way better, and I will die on the hill that Thor Ragnarok is blown way out of proportion for how great it is. Going to next week, there is only one movie I see in theaters, but it's one of those kind of like serious, like thriller dramas, which is Where the Crawdads Sing. Which oh god, I'm blanking on the actress's name. She was I talked to her pretty highly earlier this year.
She was in Fresh, right? Was that the same person?
She was in Fresh. Daisy. It's Daisy something. Yeah, her first name's Daisy. I'm blanking on the rest of her name. But it's based on a book. What's that?
Was it Daisy Edgar Jones? I think.
Yes. It was something like that.
Yeah,
she was great in Fresh on Hulu. If anyone hasn't seen Fresh on Hulu, you should check it out. Sebastian Stan basically plays a villain in the role. It's a really good horror film. But she was a standout in that movie, and this is her film. She basically plays like a girl who kind of was abandoned and lived in the swamps, and she's kind of like the hermit of the town, and like a murder occurs and everyone's blaming her for it, and she's trying to defend herself, and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a crime thriller drama kind of film. I'm actually intrigued by it because I think from what I've seen of her, I really liked her performances in Fresh. And this is one of those movies where I feel like could go one of two ways. It could be a really great well done story film with a performance from her, or it could be something like Unforgivable last year with Sandra Bullock, where they're trying so hard to do this one thing that it just ends up not working at all. Did you see anything about this movie, or is this kind of relatively new to you?
I'd heard about it and I watched the trailer for it. I'm not particularly interested in it. It looks like it's just trying to be kind of that almost like a Gone Girl kind of crime drama vibe to it. Although obviously not, it doesn't have Fincher, so so it's not going to quite have that weight to it. But it's the kind of thing I might watch on streaming or something.
It has potential. It has potential, but it's not something you rush out to go see.
Right.
You need to hear word of mouth and review scores before you're going to go kind of put the money out for this kind of film.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is Persuasion, which you know more about it than I do, which is on Netflix.
I don't know much about it. I just know that it is another adaptation of the Jane Austen novel Persuasion. It's got like Henry Golding is the biggest name probably in it, but it's again,
Dakota Johnson.
People who love that kind of thing will love it. I'm not the audience.
Yeah, that's to me. It chalks up to one of those like, oh god, like those English films like Pride and Prejudice and all the other ones that I really don't care about. Atonement,
Emma, and Sensibility.
Exactly. Like I don't want to watch. I don't watch these movies. But there is a fan base for those. Those same people are probably going to watch Downton Abbey. That's not me. So those are 2 movies coming out that week. The 22nd is, like I said, the one.
We're skipping. July. Oh, I'm sorry. We're in June. Ignore me.
No, we're in July.
Are we in July? We're in July. Okay, July 15th.
Yeah.
July 15th is The Gray Man on Netflix as well.
I have it down for the 22nd.
I don't know. I have 15th here.
I thought that article said the 22nd because I was going to bring up The Gray Man just now.
We'll bring it up in a minute. Okay. Well, before we get to that, on July 16th, over on, I just lost it, on HBO Max, there is a new version of Father of the Bride, which I like.
I totally forgot about this.
Yeah, I like Father of the Bride. The Steve Martin one with Kimberly Williams.
Oh,
I really enjoy that one. The original one, Spencer Tracy, I think I saw at one point, but I don't remember it that well. This one they're kind of, instead of just being like another rehash, this one is more, it's going with the Latino family. It's the father is Andy Garcia. The daughter getting married is, her name is Adria Arjona, who the name won't sound familiar, but she's been in Six Underground. She's been in Pacific Rim Uprising. Most recently, she was in Morbius. Don't hold that against her, as kind of the female doctor, the female lead of the movie. She's the daughter getting married. And Diego Boneta, who was in Terminator Dark Fate briefly. He was in Rock of Ages, some other things.
Yeah, Rock
They're the couple getting married. It also has Elizabeth Merced, Isabel Merced, who was in like Dora, but she's also been in a ton of other stuff. Instant Family. things like that. So it's got a great cast to it. It's HBO Max movie, so I'm definitely going to check that one out. Again, there's no trailer or anything for it yet, though.
I just checked another website and it has the 22nd down.
Okay, yeah. See, Netflix is just unreliable. Who cares? Anyway.
So as I was saying, the 22nd.
There you go.
We got 3 movies. We got 3 movies coming out on the 22nd. One is a theatrical release, or I don't know. I think that cartoon one, is that theatrical or is that Netflix?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Paws of Fury.
Is that theatrical? I did theatrical as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Okay. We got 2 theatrical and 1 Netflix. The one that Brian was talking about is the Netflix one, The Gray Man. I'm gonna let you talk about that because I know you probably had like the synopsis pulled up or something about it.
I did. Yeah, the Gray Man. Basically, here's what you need to know about the Gray Man. It's supposedly one of the biggest budget action movies that they've ever done since like Red Notice. It's the Russo brothers, Joe and Anthony Russo. It's their first major big budget film that they're directing since like their Avengers time. And they got Chris Evans in it, and it's got Ryan Gosling in it, and it's got Ana de Armas in it. And then it's got a great supporting cast as well.
If so that doesn't tell you on it before the plot,
that's all you really need to know about it. Yes. It's basically a CIA operative hunting another one, and it's just that's all I need to know. That's all.
Yeah, dude, you don't need to know the plot. That cast with those directors, I'm sold on it. It's like, come on, you don't need to go any further with that. The other 2 films, we've got Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. I have no idea what the hell this movie is, but there's a lot of people talking about this movie. You and I both were just like, I don't know what this is.
It just looks like, I mean, in the past couple of years, there've been like these animated films, these like from like these off studios nobody's ever heard of. They get released and they have like some big names in them, but you're like, nobody's ever heard of the studio. The animation looks kind of subpar. They come and go without making any noise or any money. But I mean, this one, I mean, it's got a voice cast including Michelle Yeoh, Samuel L. Jackson, Mel Brooks, Michael Cera, Jaimin Hantu, Ricky Gervais, George Takei. So I mean,
it sounds like a knockoff of Kung Fu Panda.
Now, that's what makes me think it would felt more like a straight to video, straight to VOD streaming kind of thing, because it just looks like such a knockoff. But I mean, as far as we can tell, it's going theatrical, and so maybe it'll be good. Who knows?
Yeah, we could be eating crow by the end of the summer, going, "Hey, that Paws of Fury movie was actually really good."
And right now, the director of The Lion King is one of the co-directors on it, so
we'll see. We're not sure. I mean, clearly it's not going to be on our box office ranking because we don't know what the hell the movie is. The other one is Jordan Peele's Nope. Now, for me, Jordan Peele, I thought Get Out was great, even though to me it was kind of overrated, but still a really good film. I loved Us. I thought that movie was awesome, even though I haven't seen it since the theaters. But Nope, that's going to be one of those movies. I mean, from the trailers, it looks like he's finally going alien with it. But part of me feels because it's Jordan Peele, it's not going to be exactly all that we think it is. It's probably going to be some underlying thing in it. You got Keke Palmer, you got Daniel Kaluuya, you got Steven Yeun, which are all 3 actors that I enjoy. All we've seen is that one kind of teaser for it, which, you know what, for Jordan Peele, that's it. You don't need to give us any more. Because if you give us more, you're just going to spoil shit.
Right.
From what we got, it was intriguing enough for me to go, okay, I want to see what this movie is. We don't know anything else about it, except that it looks like it's an alien kind of horror film, and that's all we really need to know. Same thing when Us came out. We didn't need to know more than that. Same thing with Get Out. Just give us the damn movie. Let's watch it, and we'll dissect the hell out of it once it comes out. What are your thoughts on Nope?
I'm really looking forward to Nope because it's Get Out. I really like. I got a little tired of the overhype on it for.
That was more my thing too. Is I thought it was a great movie, and then everyone's like,
"Oh, it's one of those movies." I separated my feelings of the movie versus the feelings about the hype. I think it's a great movie. It just people got a little crazy about it. Us, I think I had some problems with the story and kind of some of the places it went and a lot of the things that don't make sense. It was still an excellently made movie. It had great scenes to it. It had great horror and tension scenes to it. Great acting by Lupita Nyong'o, especially, but everybody across the board was phenomenal in that movie. This one, so I'm looking forward to, like you said, just because it's only the 3rd movie directed by Jordan Peele. The only thing gives me pause is that I'm not sure I like the fact that going aliens. It almost has kind of a Signs feeling to me, which to me was like one of M. Night Shyamalan's first.
No, I will die on that hill. That Signs is a great movie. Do not fight me on this. I love it.
So I'm not sure I like where they're going to aliens, but I like the trailer or teaser, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely intriguing, and it's definitely a day one watch for me.
See, that's the thing, is like, because it's Jordan Peele and because he does things that like kind of throw you off your axis, I almost don't feel that it is aliens. I think that they're trying to make it seem like it's aliens, and then Jordan Peele kind of goes, "No, it's not aliens at all. It's this." Now,
Are you saying that Jordan Peele's gonna go, nope?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I could be totally wrong. It could just be straight up 100% aliens, and you know what? I'm okay with that. But part of me also feels like just because it's Jordan Peele and he loves flipping it, that's like, it might not be aliens at all. It might be a complete misdirect, be something else. We don't know. I'm excited that I don't know. That makes me want to see it on day one like you do, so we can kind of see what he goes with it. Going into July 29th is Brian's probably one of his most anticipated films of the year. He's so damn giddy for this damn film. The one time he saw the trailer,
and most people have joined me now. They've seen the trailer. Most people have joined my.
I am. This is the one trailer that Brian actually went, "Oh my god, I love this." Before we talk about that one, we also have another movie that's coming out that I think is going to, in my opinion, probably rival Minions, because we know how profitable Secret Life of Pets was. Both films, very, very profitable, both these movies. And now they're doing DC Legend of Super Pets. Basically, Secret Life of Pets, but they're superheroes. And you got The Rock and Kevin Hart as the leads. This seems like a money-making venture. Like, they're going to make this, probably is going to get close to the $1 billion range for a lot of people because of kids. It'll also be 4 weekends removed from Minions, so it's got plenty of separation time for kids to go, what's the next big movie? And, you know, now granted, Paws of Fury could be great and that they could run into that, but with the formula of what this is, with, you know, kind of that Secret Life of Pets aspect of it, because I think it's Illumination, isn't it? Isn't it the same people from Secret Life of Pets making the film?
I'm not sure about that.
It looks, animation-wise, it looks like it's the same people. I feel like cast-wise, you know, people are going to want to go see it that maybe aren't huge anime people because it's The Rock and because it's Kevin Hart and everyone loves watching those two together. And then you got, you know, the superhero side of it with Batman's dog, Superman's dog, all those, you know, kind of, maybe not Batman, but I know Superman's dog is the main character. But I feel like that movie in itself, I'm not necessarily excited to see it. I'll check it out at some point, but it might not be something I go see day one. Because I'm going to see the other movie that we're going to talk about, but is one of those that I think is actually going to be one of the bigger box office films of the summer.
It is. I should have realized this right off the top. It's actually Warner Animation Group, but they are certainly going for that Secret Life of Pets look to it.
Exactly.
It clearly is.
So it's not Illumination.
This is one that I think will be, because it just it's just Secret Life of Pets with superheroes. Exactly. Like you already said, but I mean, I like The Rock, I like Kevin Hart, I like a lot of the people they have in it. So I mean, it'll be amusing. I'm not going to love it, but kids will eat it up.
I mean, I'd rather watch this over Minions any day of the week.
I'm not. You'll get an argument from me. Yeah.
Yeah. But the real movie that comes out that weekend that Brian is damn right giddy for. I don't think he's been this giddy for a movie since West Side Story came out.
No, this is more than West Side Story.
Oh, is it more than In the Heights though?
On par.
Like, I had to listen to about In the Heights and West Side Story for forever, and that, like, he's been bringing up this movie I think since last year. And
since they announced this movie.
Oh yeah. Bullet Train is what we're talking about, guys. Like you said, you told me about this movie and I was like, on paper this sounds interesting, but I need to see a trailer. And then they released the trailer, and I was like, holy crap, this looks like a lot of fun. And once again, this was the one trailer that Brian was like, yes, I'm so excited. Brian, take it away. This is your movie.
So, I mean, Bullet Train, it's basically all you need to know about it is this story of basically a bunch of assassins on a moving bullet train, hence the title Bullet Train, and just kind of facing off against each other. What makes this movie is two things. A, the characters, and B, the action. And when they put together a cast, which includes Brad Pitt, Zazie Beetz, Sandra Bullock. It looks like it's kind of a brief role on an off-screen role mostly. Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Logan Lerman, Michael Shannon, Brian Tyree Henry, Hiroyuki Sanada, Andrew Koji, and it goes on and on. And then you have the action, which director David Leitch, who is one of the guys behind John Wick, who has gone on to direct Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw. He has quickly become one of my favorite directors working today. That I don't think anyone does action better than he does, and especially action with some comedy kind of sprinkled into the way it's done as well. And I think he's perfect for it. I think he's assembled a great cast for it. The trailer just kind of oozed cool. I mean, it just looked cool. All the characters came across. They're going to be funny. They're going to be interesting, and the action looked top notch. So this is one where the trailer lived up to my expectations. Now we'll see if the movie does. Again, CinemaCon, they got to watch, I guess, like 15 minutes of this thing, and they were again just like blown away by it and raving about how off the wall and violent and hilarious it was. So
I said this to Brian when we were talking about The Lost City. If Brad Pitt is playing chill, super cool, action, funny guy, I am 100% locked into anything he makes. When Brad Pitt's playing super serious, not fun drama, it's still fine, but I'm not in love with the film.
Oh, I agree. Fun Brad Pitt is one of my favorite actors in the world. He makes great fun movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the best part of The Lost City. When you have Brad Pitt in this kind of role, I loved everything I saw about him in this trailer, and him fighting Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I hope has a way bigger role than I hope he does. I hope he's not like generic goon number 4 that gets killed after a 5-minute fight scene. Even though the fight scene's gonna be fucking awesome, I don't want him to die right away. I want him to be a bigger player, because we both have said Aaron Taylor Johnson needs to be recognized for how awesome he is, and he needs bigger roles. And hopefully this is that step in that right direction. But yeah, Bull Train to me seems like could be one of the big surprise hits of the summer. And one that you would go back and rewatch over and over and over again because of how fun it can be. Going into August, there's not really a whole lot to talk about in August, really. A lot of it's more streaming shit.
There's a lot of smaller movies. Now, the first week of August, there's 2 theatrical ones, supposedly. Secret Headquarters, which is a comedy with Owen Wilson, but also has Walter Scobell, who is the kid from Adam Project. So I'm curious to do that one. I don't know much about it, so I don't have anything more to say on that one. Do you?
Yeah, and I know I don't know much about it at all. And I know they're doing Netflix is doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but it's based off
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But it's based off of the latest Nickelodeon cartoon, which I am not a fan of. I tried watching that one. I don't like it. So this is definitely one of the first movies that the Turtles are going to have that I don't give a rat's ass about.
So I care more about this one than I did about the 2 Michael Bay produced ones, because those were kind of this one. This is another one of those things that my kid watched this when it was really big when it first came out, and it's not my favorite version of the Turtles, but I still enjoy it. So I am looking forward to that.
If you want to watch the best version of the Turtles, watch Nickelodeon's 2011 series. That one's fantastic. Even though the animation's kind of wonky, but you get used to it after a couple episodes. That was the best version of the Turtles that I ever seen. I want a movie of those ones, but no, we get this option.
Yeah, the other theatrical movie this week is Bodies, 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 which is kind of an independent. It might even be A24. Actually, I think it is A24. It's basically a bunch of rich, like 20-somethings. They're basically playing some kind of game called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies during, like, I think, a blackout, and then it becomes like a whodunit because somebody's actually killing everyone. And this has got Amanda Stenberg is in it. It's got Pete Davidson is in it, some other people. So this is one that the trailer I watched, especially for an A24 movie, looks at least worth checking out.
They dropped this trailer like yesterday or 2 days ago?
Fairly recently, yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, but yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about now.
And then there's one other movie I talk about. This one, apparently, I just found a date for it, got dropped. It's called Not Okay. Now, there's one thing that Sean needs to know about this movie to be interested in it, and that's the lead is Zoe Deutsch.
Okay.
The second thing that might get Sean interested, the co-lead is Dylan O'Brien. So yeah. Basically,
Mark Rylance in this as well.
What's that?
Is Mark Rylance in this as well?
No, he is not in this one as well. But the plot synopsis of this it says a misguided young woman desperate for friends and fame fakes a trip to Paris to update her social media presence. A terrifying incident takes place in the real world, which becomes part of the imaginary trip and offers all she wanted. So I don't know a whole lot about the movie, but it's based on the 2 leads alone, and I'm willing to watch it. That's on Hulu.
Absolutely. I'm willing to watch it just for the 2 leads alone as well. They're 2 of my favorite young actors working today. Going to the 12th, the only thing I have is a Netflix film. Do you have anything else?
No, that was originally going to be Man Trip from Toronto, but it got delayed. Or
Yeah,
actually got sold to Netflix, who knows what's coming out.
yeah. All I've got for that is Day Shift, which is on Netflix. It's a Jamie Foxx film. Apparently, he's a vampire hunter. That's all we know about it. I'm okay with that.
Well, no, we know he's a vampire hunter by night, pool cleaner by day.
Yeah. I'm okay with that synopsis on its own.
That's all I need to hear. It sounds like it's worth checking out on Netflix. Yeah.
It's definitely something worth clicking on and saying play on a Friday night for me. On the 19th, once again, all I got is one movie called Beast, which I had to ask you, what was this movie? And once you described it to me, I was also like, I'm sold on that as well, which is
basically Idris Elba and his 2 daughters who are being hunted by a lion.
That's
there
it.
You go.
I'm cool with that. And is that theatrical? Is that theatrical or is that streaming?
That is theatrical. It also has Charlotte Copley in it. It's directed by the guy who did, it looks like 2 Guns, Everest, a couple other things, The Contraband. So, yeah, I mean, Idris Elba is always solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and then the last movie I've got is on the 26th. It's another Netflix film. It's called Me Time with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg. I don't have the synopsis pulled up in front of me, but it seems like it's more of a comedy with some slight action in it.
Yeah, I had it pulled up a minute ago. So I had to look that one up because I didn't know until today what that was. I think it's basically a dad who finds time for himself for the first time in years while his wife and kids are away and reconnects with a friend for a wild weekend. So I don't know if it's going for like a Hangover kind of vibe or what. I don't know how wild they're going to get. I guess it depends on what the rating of the movie is.
All I know is the picture that they have released is showing Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart carrying a tortoise across what looks like a road.
From the director of Why Him and I Love You Man. So I'm going to say it's probably R-rated.
Oh, absolutely. It's on Netflix. You don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all we have for the summer. Like I said, we went over a good chunk of movies.
Yeah, I only have 2 others that you didn't list yet. One was Samaritan with Sylvester Stallone plays a guy, I guess, who used to be a superhero, kind of went in, kind of hiding, and now people are discovering who he is. Again, as we get into the end of the year, into the summer,
I thought that was a fall release.
We have no information on some of these things, so that's why August went very fast.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Enola Holmes wasn't going to be a summer release. I figured that would.
We don't know. Well, that'd be Netflix, so I guess it must be fall on that.
I guess it probably dropped in September or something.
And then the other movie, I'm actually pretty excited to see this one, but it's undated as far as I can find. On Hulu, sometime in the summer, is supposed to be coming Prey, which is the next Predator film.
Yeah.
And it takes place, I guess it's like a Native American culture, like hundreds of years ago. So I don't know much about it, but I'm very excited to see that.
I think they had said at one point they were looking at July, but once again, it's April. We haven't heard anything else.
Yeah, everywhere just says summer. So.
Yeah, so obviously, if it's a Predator film, Brian and I will definitely be watching that. So now that we've gone through the whole summer list, let's go to what we think our final box office predictions will be. Our top 10 predictions for the summer. We're not going to go with how many weeks or what the actual dollar amount is. We're literally just going to say what we think our top 10.
I'm going to give some of my rationale on a couple of them, though. That's
fine. Why don't you start? What's your top 10 looking like?
You want to start from 10 or 1?
Go 10 to 6. Go 10 to 6.
Okay. At number 10, I have Downton Abbey, A New Era. This is one that, again, it's not for everyone, but I think especially during the summertime, it's actually really good counter programming because, everything that's out is superhero movies and kids movies, things like this. And so the people that aren't into that, I think, especially older audiences, especially female audiences largely, are going to see this. Now, the first one made like $30 million plus in its opening weekend. It went on to make like $100 million. Then I think it was like 250 worldwide. So I have that at my number 10. Number 9, although I hope it does much better, is Bullet Train. Bullet Train, I think, is a movie that I think is going to be loved by the people who see it. And I think that the star power of like Brad Pitt is going to bring in a certain number of people. I think that the action, the style of it is going to do pretty well. I mean, the John Wick movies grew exponentially. The first one made like 40, the next one made like 90, the next one made $171 million. So I think this one will do decent, but it's not going to be like top 5 of the year. At number 8, I have Top Gun Maverick. Like I was mentioning earlier, it's one of those movies that I'm not sure everyone cares about. I mean, Tom Cruise movies, aside from Mission Impossible, you take those out of it, his last several movies, none of them made over $100 million. You have like The Mummy, American Made, Edge of Tomorrow, Jack Reacher. These things didn't break $100 million, whereas the Mission Impossibles did. And then you look at the kind of movies that you compare it to, maybe like Ghostbusters, maybe Blade Runner 2049, with these nostalgia sequels. They do okay, but they don't do blockbuster business. Like Ghostbusters did $129 million domestic. So I think Top Gun will make some money, but it's not going to be like, top of the year like the original one was. My number 7, I have Nope. Both Get Out and Us made $175 million each domestic. I think this one will probably come in around the same number because I think that there's a real audience, not only just for horror movies, but especially for Jordan Peele. And at number 6, I have DC League of Super Pets. This is one that could go way higher and could end up lower on the list. I think that anything family animated is what makes, besides superhero movies, the things that rule the box office right now that people actually go to theaters to see are animated or family films. Because adults a lot of times are just like, I'll wait for that to come to streaming. They come so fast nowadays. I can wait. But people still flock to family films because kids want something to do. They want to take the kids to the movies, give them something to see. And so this one I think will do very well.
You have a few that are in my 6 through 10 as well.
Okay.
My number 10, I've got Black Phone. Kind of like what you said with Nope. I feel like horror-wise, I feel like there's not a lot of horror options out there. And if this movie is at least good and intriguing, word of mouth, kind of like when It was, I'm not saying it's going to make It numbers because it's not. People are going to go see this. Especially also you add now that Moonlight is out and people are getting used to seeing Ethan Hawke as a villain role. I think that's actually going to boost people seeing Black Phone because of Ethan Hawke being in Moon Knight. So I think it's granted, I think in terms of summer, this is going to be kind of on the lower end of what it's going to make compared to like the top 5. But in terms of what we actually have coming out in theaters for the summer, I think Black Phone will be at the number 10 spot. Number 9, I have Nope, another horror film. And the reason why I don't have it higher, like you said, with Us and Get Out, is it doesn't quite have the star power that Get Out and Us had. Yeah, it's got Daniel Kaluuya, but a lot of people still are kind of getting introduced with Keke Palmer. Outside of The Walking Dead, a lot of people don't really know Steven Yeun that well. And I feel like you're going to get the Jordan Peele crowd. You're going to get the horror crowd. But it's the rest of everyone else that, like, you're going to have to find ways to pull them in. It's going to do better than Black Phone. I just don't know if it's going to do as well as Us or Get Out unless it completely blows everyone away. Number 8, basically the same reasons that you mentioned. I got Top Gun Maverick. It's not the Mission Impossible movies. So, yes, Tom Cruise is a big box office marker. And you have the nostalgia of Top Gun, but that's only going to get you so far. A lot of it's going to depend on the young cast, the story, and the action sequences. Because if it's not very action heavy, because a lot of people like to think that Top Gun's this big action film. Top Gun is not really an action film. It's a lot of just hanging around and them just flying around. It's not really, except for like the very, very like end. There's not a whole lot of action in that movie. If they add a lot more action in this, that will definitely boost it. If it's more like Top Gun, which is not a bad thing, it's going to do well. It's just not going to do as well as I think they're expecting it to be.
Yeah, I think a lot depends, like you said, on the story. That's why I compared it a lot to Ghostbusters Afterlife, because that movie, the nostalgia was only going to take you to a certain level, but because that movie had a good, and people liked the new characters, that's kind of what pushed it into being a pretty big hit. I mean, not a blockbuster, but it was a good hit.
Exactly. Number 7 for me, I gave it more of a boost than you did, and that's Bullet Train. And the reason why,
I hope it makes a ton more. I hope
the reason why I've got it higher than you is it comes out in the last week of July. There's really nothing in August that's going to really drive people to the theaters. So when people want to go see movies, Bullet Train is going to be, for the most part, their main choice. That and Secret Life of, or League of Secret Super Pets.
That window has always been a prime spot for like adult skewing action. The Bourne films always came out in that kind of area. I think at least a couple of Planet of the Apes movies came out in that window, that late July, because exactly the reason you said. Yeah.
So it's one of those movies that I think is going to have super long legs through August, and it's just going to tick away and climb up the box office. It's going to be one of those movies where it's not going to be a huge like opening weekend massive hit, But by week 4, week 5, you're like, man, Bullet Train's still gaining. Like, it's not dropping its percentages, and it moves up the list. And number 6 for me is kind of like, wow, that's kind of low, is Lightyear. Because of everything I said before. Like, yes, everyone loves Toy Story, but Lightyear, we really don't really know kind of what we're getting into. I mean, we know what the story's going to be. It's about, Buzz Lightyear. But I don't think, based off of the 5 other films ahead of it, it's going to do the money that the 5 ahead of it's going to do. I'll go ahead and jump into my 5, and then you'll go to your 5. My number 5, because you already mentioned it, is DC Legends of Super Pets. For all the reasons that I said, it's basically like Secret Life of Pets with superheroes. You got The Rock, you got Kevin Hart. They're both big box office names. Kids are going to want to see this movie. Parents are going to want to see this because of The Rock and Kevin Hart. So you're going to have people go to this that probably wouldn't go to it otherwise. If it's funny, if it's enjoyable, then you get the repeat viewing for the kids. And because of that, it's going to jump up to the top 5 ranks. It's not going to pass that, though. But I think top 5, when you're looking at like what number 6 does and what number 5 does, I think it's going to be over a $50 million difference. I really do. I think the top 5 is going to make massive bucks, and 6 through 10 are going to be really, really good. But the top 5 to me is going to be far separated from 6 through 10. What was your 5?
I was actually going to say the exact same thing. My top 5, I think there's going to be they're going to make big money, and then the 6 through 10 are kind of like, they're going to do okay, but I think there's going to
make their money. They're probably going to make their money back, or just under their money. But we're 5 and up is going
5 and
to
up. Which my number 5, I have Thor: Love and Thunder, which is going to make a ton of money. Ragnarok made $300 million approximately, and Thor is going to make really good money too. It's just a matter of that. I think that there are 4 movies that are going to make more than that.
And Thor: Love and Thunder is my number 4 for the same reasons. It's an MCU film. It's Thor. People love Thor. You got the Guardians aspect to it. You got Natalie Portman's storyline going into it. You got the Taika Waititi effect. But the other films that are ahead of it have bigger stories, bigger stars, and just a bigger box office success to it than a Thor franchise. While Thor is still very, very popular and very huge, the other 3 in front of it for me are going to elevate it past that. What was your 4?
My number 4, we just swapped. My number 4 is Lightyear. We've already kind of discussed this, but I mean, yeah, the Toy Story 3 and 4 each made $400 million each, over $1 billion worldwide. And like I said, in the summer, family films are basically king, except for comic book movies. So it's going to make a ton of money just based on that. Now, this isn't Toy Story. It is a different film. So not everyone who loved the Toy Story movies is going to be interested in this kind of side story. It also tends to skew, I think, a little bit more towards kind of boys. So I don't think as many young girls are going to want to watch it. I think the story is also going to skew a little bit older, generally speaking, than Toy Story, which might appeal to younger kids.
I think that's why they have the cat.
Yeah, and it only has 2 weeks until Minions comes out. To kind of feed that itch for kids to go see an animated film. So Lightyear, I think it's gonna make a ton of money. It's gonna be I have it at number 4.
What's your 3?
My number 3 is Minions. Whether we
that
like
is
it or
also
not.
my 3. That is also my 3. Is Minions.
Whether we like it or not. The first Minions, we're not talking Despicable Me. The first Minions brought in $336 million and over $1 billion worldwide. Again, family films is what brings in the money these days. I mean, even just so far this year, the top grossers, besides the Batman, is like Sonic 2 and things like that. In the last several years, like anything that's not comic movies that's in the top of the box office has been animated films. And I think this is one that we might not love it, but I think it's going to bring in a ton of people. And I think one of the reasons this one does make money, and at least the previous film did, is because it is younger skewing. Because so like the kids that maybe aren't as into like story and things like that, just like, oh, look at the funny things Minions are doing. And during the summer, people just want to entertain their kids. So I think Minions is going to be the number 3 film.
I think the one thing that's going to actually elevate Minions even higher than its predecessor is that we got a younger Gru, still voiced by Steve Carell. Mm-hmm. But you add that kind of childlikeness to the Gru character with Carell still doing the voice. I think it's going to actually add more and fuel more to the Minions storyline. And that's why it's going to jump up there. But the 2 movies in front of it, which clearly we're going to have the same 2, they might be swapped. Yeah. But our top 2 are clearly our top 2 for a reason. I don't think you can bring all the kids you want, but you know what? Same kids are going to see our top 2. My number 2 is Jurassic World Dominion. Jurassic World was one of the highest, box office, hits of all time. Jurassic Park is right there as one of the all times in '93, form. I think for the people that were scorned and hurt by Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, by bringing in that original cast and by bringing in that reminiscence, that familiarity of Jurassic Park, and hopefully a great story, is going to bump World Dominion from maybe being a top 5 to number 1 or number 2 for the box office for the summer. To me, in terms of 1-2, it's like right here. And a lot of it is going to come down to replayability. And the reason why I have number 1 at number 1 is I feel like because of that film, people are going to see that movie way more on repeat because of the aspects of that story than Jurassic World Dominion. And that's why I have Dominion at number 2. If they didn't have the OG cast coming back, I think like Dominion probably would have dropped down below Minions. But because of the OG cast being back, that is why I got Jurassic World Dominion at number 2. Is your 2 the same, or did you flip them?
My number 2 is Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Now, the first Doctor Strange film did not make nearly as much as to put it this high on the list. But obviously, this movie isn't just about Doctor Strange. This is kind of like we've talked about, the culmination of so many storylines. It's obviously got people very curious about the cameos and the future of the franchise, things like that. So it's going to have a huge opening weekend. It's going to make a ton of money. But it's not going to make like Spider-Man money. It's because Spider-Man is a much more endeared character to a larger audience, a larger fan base who just like Spider-Man and who love the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield ones as well. They wanted to see this. So I think this movie is going to make a ton of money, especially right up front. I don't think it's going to have nearly as many people repeat viewing as far as obviously the hardcore people like us are going to want to see this many times. But I think a lot of people are going to be kind of one and done until it shows up on Disney Plus or wherever. So that's the only reason I kept it at number 2. I will say, like I said earlier, it has a few weeks of essentially no competition. 3 weeks if you count Top Gun, 5 weeks if you think its next competition is Jurassic World. And on top of it, you get a little boost in opening weekend because it's going to have the Avatar teaser on it, which is theater exclusive for the first couple weeks. So that'll be curious to see. But so yeah, Doctor Strange 2, I have at my number 2 film for the summer. Number 1 for me. Oh, well, go ahead and talk about Doctor Strange, and I'll give my thoughts and Jurassic.
Yeah, I mean, and the things that you pointed out, that's the reason why I think it's going to be. No, it's not going to do Spider-Man numbers, but I feel like it's going to still be one of the most profitable MCU films. I feel like you're going to have Endgame, Spider-Man. I blank on what number 3 is. Probably Infinity War or Civil War, and then Doctor Strange is going to be right there because all those connected storylines with WandaVision, What If, Loki, all these storylines coming to a head, and all these multiverses, and the one tease that we kind of already got in that teaser trailer of a certain character from another Marvel storyline being in there. There's going to be so many Easter eggs and crazy batshit moments of this film that the comic book geek nerds are going to constantly go back and see this movie over and over and over again. It's got a horror element to it. It's got action element. It's going to have its humor there. It's going to have all those kind of aspects. And because of that, the MCU is the MCU for a reason. And while as much as I love Jurassic World Dominion, I feel like unless Doctor Strange pisses everybody off, that is going to elevate and push through most of the summer. And also having that whole month with really no competition where Dominion has to go against Minions and basically everything, Lightyear, all that stuff, that it's still going to make its money, but it's not going to have a month pretty much of no competition where Doctor Strange is going to not have that. And that's why I have it at its number 1 spot. You've got Jurassic World Dominion at the number 1 spot. So why do you think it's
I think Elvis. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Wow. Jurassic World, not even top 10. Wow.
You also know I have Batman on my most anticipated list. So
that is very true.
Wait a minute. So Jurassic World Dominion, I think, is going to be number 1 at the box office. I do think that it'll be closer than you think with Doctor Strange. But Jurassic is one of those things you just can't count out how much people want to see the world of Jurassic World and the world of dinosaurs. Because, I mean, yes, the first Jurassic World at the time broke all the box office records. It was making tons of money left, hand over hand. The second one came out, and even though people were disappointed by it, largely, not everybody, but a good amount of people were, it still went on to make $652 million, or a 1.67 billion. I'm sorry, the second one went $1.3 billion worldwide. But I mean, it's just dinosaurs, blockbuster spectacle. Like I said, you're bringing back the original cast, and they're going to have equal roles. So people who love the originals, even if they didn't like Fallen Kingdom, are going to come back to see it. I also think during the summer, it's the kind of thing that people want to see. So I think there'll be a ton of repeat viewings. I actually disagree with what you said about the competition. I think that this has the exact same situation as Doctor Strange, because it essentially has June to itself. There's Lightyear coming out in the middle of there, but that's it. It comes out June 10th until July 1st is Minions, and the next more not animated, not kids movie coming out is Thor on July 8th. So it basically has a month almost with no competition except for Lightyear. So yeah, I mean, the top two clearly be Jurassic World, Doctor Strange. I don't know for sure which one will come out on top, but for me, I gave Jurassic World the edge.
I think they'll be within 100 mil of each other.
Easily. Oh yeah,
maybe even under 50 mil. It's going to be that close of a race. Like when I'm saying like one, two, like they're right there. It's just gonna, it's literally gonna be replayability for people. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the summer movie preview. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you guys stay up to date. Well, latest videos pop up on Movie Crusaders, and of course, I'm going to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Leave your comments. Let us know, what do you think are going to be the top summer movies of the year? Where do you think your box office is going to land with the top 10? Do you think it's going to be relatively close to ours, which I think most people probably will be, because there's not that much variety this summer. But what are you excited about? Let us know in the comments below. Coming up next, nothing really in movies until Doctor Strange. There's nothing coming out this week, is there?
This week is just that Memory with Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
Liam Neeson movie number 872. Yeah,
basically the same kind of plot. So yeah, our next film is not until Doctor Strange comes out. We will probably have a non-spoiler and a spoiler review with Brian on that one. And our big episode that we got coming out next month in May. Yes, look behind Brian. We're doing another future. It's not necessarily a recast. It is a future cast episode. Dreamcasting. We did it right before the Batman came out, where we casted who we wanted to play the future Batman villains and Robin and Batgirl and all that kind of stuff. This episode, because of Doctor Strange coming out on the 6th, we are going to Dreamcast the MCU's X-Men and Fantastic Four. It has been racking our brains. This has been tough. Batman was relatively easy. I think you and I had Batman's tied up in like a day. We've been talking about this for over a week now, bashing our heads and trying to figure out who we're going to cast as our X-Men.
I will just, we'll talk about this in the show, but the one thing I want to say is what makes this so much harder than the Batman is that everyone in the world is already in the MCU.
Exactly. And then the ones that aren't were like, I don't think they played this character or they do this character justice. Like, I want this actor or actress in the MCU, but not as
nobody
this
fits.
role.
Yeah,
exactly. This one's been racking our brains. I've been talking about this with people at work, people that I've been talking to, like, who do you guys want to see? Just so I can kind of get some, like, someone give me some little hints here and there, because it has been stressful trying to come up with this list. We are excited to bring it to you. That'll be next week's episode. We hope you guys tune in for that, as well as, like I said, the Doctor Strange non-spoiler and spoiler review. But yeah, until next time, I'm Sean Waskrug. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Movie Crusaders. And until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.